This study we've already presented on, but we just kind of published it again because it came out in full print. So we saw the preprint a few months ago, and we posted it in our research update, and then it was finally actually published. And so here's the more accurate kind of, the peer-reviewed version of that. And what you have here is looking at molecular deficits. So they had 30 Div 1 football players who were in the NFL draft, and they were given a bunch of blood tests, right? So they looked at their omega-3 fatty acid index, they looked at their lipid panel, hormones, markers of inflammation, etc. And they tried to see like where these guys were in terms of things where they should be in terms of optimal brain health and brain function. So omega-3 index was 4.6%. Only one athlete was above the recommended cutoff, which was 8%. So 8 to 10% is considered the optimum performance range for your omega-3s, which omega-3s have been found to be anti-inflammatory and protective against, brain injury and helpful in brain injury recovery. So if you have players that play football having low omega-3 index, maybe this is something that is causing some of these long-term effects, right? Red blood cell arachidonic acid, 17%, EPA was 0.67%, the ratio was 29. The reference ratio is supposed to be less than 5, and yet you have 29. So you have massive, kind of inflammatory markers here, omega-6 to omega-3s. Optimal is less than 3, right? All 30 athletes in the study they did not have a good ratio here. Homocysteine, again, another inflammatory marker, elevated in 40% of athletes. Vitamin D3 was below the reference range in 63% of athletes, below the optimal performance range in 83% of athletes. Magnesium levels, remember, magnesium can be protective against concussion injury because it might block the uptake of calcium into the cell upon impact. And again, below the reference range in 86% of athletes. They're deficient in magnesium, right? So all of this stuff, if we were to optimize this, what would happen in terms of concussion incidence and recovery and the neurodegenerative consequences that are associated, right? So anyway, they were not great, right? And so I think there's some stuff that has to be done here to improve the health of athletes, not just from a concussion protection, but looking at things like this, their molecular deficits, and getting them to optimal ranges. The funny thing is it would probably improve their performance as well. So it's a twofer right there.